Hearn still thinks Jake Paul isn't the world's best boxer, and yet he's still picking the problem child over Fury. Now Paul has to live up to Hearn's expectation. There's no doubt that Paul is already the bookie fave, despite the fact that he doesn't have a lot of experience as a boxer. Meanwhile, Fury is as real as they come. Why? Because he comes from a fighting background. Not to mention, his older brother is the WBC heavyweight champion of the world. But Hearn expects Tyson Fury to meet his maker in the Middle East next month. So let's get down to business. What exactly did Eddie Hearn say about the Jake Paul and Tommy Fury fight? Well, for one thing, he said that Tommy Fury is unbelievably limited when it comes to his boxing skills. Sure, he's a boxer, but he's not a very good one. At least that's what Eddie Hearn thinks. But what's good about this fight is that it'll finally end the Jake Paul has never fought a boxer debate. And let's be real, if Tommy loses this fight, it'll be really embarrassing. And did I mention, Eddie Hearn himself said that he'd lose to Jake Paul if he ever fought him. That's big coming from Hearn. Sure, he mentioned during the MMA Hour podcast that Jake himself isn't a very good boxer. Plus, Tommy Fury losing to Jake Paul aside, Hearn doesn't back Jake Paul when it comes to him fighting Canelo Alvarez, because without a doubt, he'd lose to him in a heartbeat. This is also something that Hearn and Paul have been arguing about a lot. But when it comes to Tommy, similar to McGregor, Jake is really good at getting into his opponent's head. So Hearn acknowledges the fact that Jake has that edge against Tommy. So, according to Hearn, the moment Tommy steps into the ring, it's game over. Now, with one of the most anticipated fights of 2023 less than a month away, the endless Tommy versus Jake debate will finally end. Thank the Lord. And with both fighters undefeated with 4 knockouts to their name. Fury is giving away just 2 centimeters in height on paper. Apart from that, there's very little to separate the two as fighters. But Paul is convinced that he'll come out on top. So much so that he has 12 reasons why he'll win. And the problem child showed off a ripped physique, claiming that he's willing to risk it all to beat Fury. So what reasons did Jake talk about? Well, to name a few, Jake has admitted that he's not only more athletic, he has more heart, more poise, higher intelligence, more patience, and the willingness to learn more than any of his opponents. So that's why he thinks he can't be defeated. Not by Tommy Fury at least. But Paul has to prove all that. This is his chance to prove to everyone that he's a real boxer.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting, and that's what makes this fight awesome, and it makes it a 50-50 fight, you know, when the betting odds came out.
But after his big win against Silva under his belt, he feels like he's more than ready to face Fury now.
He's been doing it since he was 12 years old. I've been doing it now, my 3-year pro boxing anniversary.
Also, can we please address the stunning knockout against Tyrone Woodley, arguably one of the best MMA fighters? That man is an absolute beast.
I think it's gotta be me, just because I have so much else going on.
So that made it all the more surprising when he got knocked out by a boxer like Jake Paul. I think we need to admit the fact that he's a decent boxer. Plus, taking down Tommy Fury, the half-brother of the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, would take his boxing career to the next level. Now, let's talk about how Jake punched a man so hard that he pooped himself. No, literally. Whether anybody likes to admit it or not, Jake Paul hits hard enough to take down even Tyrone Woodley. He definitely has that knockout power on him, and he's only getting better with time. He started fighting low-level fellow YouTubers, but now nobody can deny that he's fought some of the top names from the UFC. Either way, he's going to be facing his biggest boxing test yet when he faces off against Tyson Fury's brother on February 26th, the only fighter who's actually from a boxing background. And Jake Paul's been training a lot for Tommy Fury, so much in fact that he's been training in Puerto Rico to get in the best shape possible. And get this, he even made a bet with Preston Lopez about the winner of an NFL match, and Paul said that the Georgia Bulldogs will take down the TCU Horned Frogs. So in the end, the Bulldogs won by a score of 65-7, and as punishment, Lopez had to take a punch from Paul. When it came to, Paul punched him so hard, Lopez came down on his knees and said, "I think I pooped a little bit." So, needless to say, Jake is a very hard hitter. Tommy Fury really needs to watch out. As you might have imagined, when Paul saw Lopez collapse, it really gave him an ego boost. Wouldn't you have felt the same if you managed to punch somebody so hard that they pooped themselves? I bet you would. Anyhow, this will only serve him well for when he goes against Fury at the end of February. And naturally, Paul is full of confidence. Now, as far as how Paul is planning to approach Fury is concerned, he's gonna try to knock him out with a hook.
I've always been ready. I've always been trying to get him into the ring. But it's a perfect next step for me.
And he wants Fury to be the first person he knocks out with his left hand.
They think he's this professional boxer from this legendary bloodline. The real boxing purists know.
So he's training extra hard on his southpaw stance this time around.
Yeah, it's a bit bizarre. You know, I think 2 of his biggest life moments in a very short time period.
Let's be real. Confidence is one thing Paul has an abundance of.
and doesn't really know who he is. He's like a lost puppy, kind of trying to figure his life.
I mean, look at the guy. He radiates confidence at this point.
Unfortunately, Tommy's not here today. He dipped out.
But maybe it's also because he's actually a good boxer. But whether or not he has the talent to beat Fury is still up for debate.
So many times, and when I said that, 4 fights ago, people laughed.
We'll just have to wait to find out what's what.
He's probably tired of Molly making all the money in the relationship. He's got a kid now, so he needs to help pay for some diapers.
But if he wins, nobody will dare to doubt him again. So mark your calendars for February 26th.
It feels like the vacation I've been waiting to go on. It's finally here.
Now let's talk about Daddy Fury's warning to Jake Paul. From what I know, Tommy Fury's dad, John, has warned Jake Paul that he'll get carried out of the ring on a stretcher.
For sure, he's gonna have to pay for the things he's said and the time and money that he's wasted.
But Paul has publicly admitted that he still doubts whether he'll actually show up on the night, because Tommy Fury has already postponed the fight twice already.
It's not like a learning fight, like, oh yeah, I'm taking this fight and it's the time for me to get better. And
why and when? Well, first, he broke his rib at the end of December, and then the next time was last August when he couldn't make it to the US because he had a visa issue.
I don't think anything of him. He's a nobody in my eyes. I'm in the sport of boxing. He's not a boxer.
Paul isn't worried though. He already has a backup planned, and it's none other than Mike Perry, yet another ex-UFC fighter. He's apparently on standby just in case Tommy manages to pull out again.
He walks around the ring like this. No head movement, 2 big crater legs, and then, oh, by the way, you throw a right hand.
But Big John insists that Tommy won't pull out this time, so there won't be any need for that. He even sent a verbal warning to Paul in a threatening video on Instagram.
So I think we're about 4 weeks away. And I'm just happy. I've been training for a long time because I knew it was eventually going to come.
So, what exactly did John Fury say in the video? Well, he basically gave Jake the assurance that Tommy won't pull out. Not this time.
You couldn't pay me £1 trillion to take it easy. I'm going in there, and I will tell you now.
In fact, he said that they all can't wait for this fight to finally happen.
I'm just trying to be the best version of myself that I can be. My life is already everything I dreamed of right now, even before this fight.
So, there's no way in this world that Tommy pulls out this time. It's definitely gonna happen this time, because if not, Tommy will lose his credibility.
Years I've been training all my life. I've fought guys like Jake Paul 10 times in a week in the amateurs.
Will think he's just a coward. So if anything, Jake should be ready to take on Tommy. Or, as John Fury said, be ready to go out on a stretcher. He apparently thinks Jake has no chance. But maybe his mind will change after he sees how good of a fighter Jake really is. Either way, this is going to be a very exciting fight, and I'm all for it. I just have one question. Are you ready for what's about to happen? Let me know who you think will win, and we'll see you in the next video.